Are you desiring more out of life? More love, more connection, more experience, just more aliveness? Well, that is your soul calling you, and together we are going to uncover those soul desires and help you bridge the gap between your physical life and your true soul self. Welcome to the Suddenly Spiritual Podcast. My name is Emilee. I'm an intuitive, a psychic medium, and someone who recently and very suddenly awakened to spirituality. On this podcast, we are going to talk all about connecting with your soul to live your fullest, most beautiful life. We're going to talk about spirituality from the perspective of the everyday person. It's my goal that you feel seen and supported on this journey of discovering your soul and awakening to the incredible world of spirit. Let's get started. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Suddenly Spiritual Podcast. It's me, Emilee, your host. Thank you for coming back another week to the podcast. I just love being able to share my insights here, being able to share the messages that I'm receiving from Spirit. And I love hearing from you that these messages are impactful to you on your own journey of connecting more deeply with your soul, of discovering your own intuition, your own spiritual connection, and learning how to really settle in to who you are. I just keep learning on a deeper and deeper level that our experience of this life, this world, is really just a process of getting to know ourselves on a deeper level so that we can live out in the world, in the exterior, based on that interior, that internal knowing, and learning how to listen to our soul so that we can pursue those soul desires, giving ourselves the trust, the love, the compassion to really take care of ourselves and pursue the things that light us up and bring us joy. Today, what I want to talk to you about is judgment. And the reason that I want to talk to you about judgment is because I had a recent experience where I caught myself laying some pretty heavy judgment on someone else, someone I didn't even know. And I felt the judgment. I heard the judgment in my head. And in that moment, I was like, gross. I don't want to feel this way. Maybe you've had a similar experience where you've caught yourself laying some heavy judgment on someone else, thinking some negative, judgy, mean thoughts about someone else, maybe even someone that you do not know. And you hear that voice in your head and you think, oh my gosh, I do not want to feel this way. That was my response. My response is, whoa, why am I feeling so negative toward this person that I don't even know? And I recognized those thoughts and I realized I do not want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. And a little background, just to be totally honest with you, I have been such a judgy person in my life. And it's something that I do not really enjoy about myself. The fact that I am very judgmental of other people. And I've spent a long time trying to figure out why I have this pattern of this extreme judgment of others because it doesn't feel good to feel so judgmental about others. It doesn't feel good to look at someone and have a negative thought, even though I don't know that person. Ugh, it feels terrible. And not only does it feel bad to have those thoughts about other people, like it puts me in a negative energy, but then I'm judging myself about judging other people. And it's just this judgment mountain where I feel a lot of shame about the experience that I'm having. And when you're deep in that shame, it is hard to step out of it. It's hard to break that pattern. It's hard to move on and have compassion for yourself. But when you're in moments where you're doing something that you don't like, the only way to change that behavior is going to be through acceptance, understanding, and compassion, which is what I've had to come around to try and start to heal that judginess that I feel towards other people. And recently I had an experience I'm going to tell you about where I recognized, oh my gosh, I'm thinking terrible things about people and I don't want to do that. And in the moments where I'm having these thoughts and I'm questioning, like, why do I feel this way? Why does this keep coming back up? Like, I love people, I respect people, I want the best for other people, and yet this judgment keeps resurfacing and it feels so negative, and it also just doesn't feel in line with who I am and who I want to be. I don't want to go around being a jerk to people. I don't want to be a jerk to people like out in public, but I also don't want to feel that internally. And in the past, I've tried to solve this judgment problem by just projecting an insane amount of positivity in the way that I speak about people and in the way that I treat people, which is obviously important. And I feel strongly about showing that compassion outwardly. But to be honest, that has not healed the judgment that I still experience internally. And I don't always think judgment is wrong. But in my case, it's been pretty extreme and it's been about things that don't need me to be feeling negative about people. It's the judgment's been about silly things. So I'm going to explain to you this situation and then I'm going to tell you this like aha moment that I had in the middle of the experience of feeling this extreme judgment so that you can use this same perspective shift, this same message from spirit, this aha moment in your own life when you catch yourself being exceptionally judgy of other people. It's really been a tool that I am now integrating into my life and is helping me heal the internal experience of having these judgy thoughts of people. So I'll tell you my scenario. I'll tell you what happened. And then I'm going to tell you my little aha moment. So I recently started going to the gym again, and I haven't gone to the gym regularly for probably like 10 years. And just with having kids and things like that, it's hard to go to the gym. But this past year, I found a gym that has childcare. I feel comfortable leaving my kids there. So now I'm going to the gym again. And in the last 10 years, gym fashion has changed a lot. For men, it's pretty much the same. But for women, the way that women dress in the gym is very different today than it was 10 years ago when I used to go to the gym regularly. So, clothing that women wear in the gym today is much smaller than clothing women wore in the gym 10 years ago. And this was shocking to me. Apparently, I'm just not very up on fashion. It was sort of shocking to me to go into the gym and see very small clothing. There's a lot of body parts showing when you're at the gym. And if you've gone to the gym recently, you know what I'm talking about. So I've had a lot of judgment towards these women who are wearing like really small shorts, really small tops, showing a lot of their bodies. I have felt a lot of judgment towards these women. And I've thought things like subconsciously, these thoughts just pop in my head, like not intentionally thinking them is what I'm saying. These thoughts have come automatically. Things like they shouldn't be wearing that. Things like they shouldn't show so much skin. Things like that's inappropriate. Why does she think it's okay to dress that way? Like all of these uncomfortable thoughts coming into my head, these judgments that I'm experiencing automatically. Like looking around, and in the second I see this person wearing these small clothes, I have all these judgments come up so fast. And I know for myself, and I'm going to guess for everyone else in the world, when we move through our day, we experience these judgments, maybe not specifically about the clothing other people are wearing, but maybe about other things. We experience them sort of automatically as we're walking through the world, as we're looking around. And a lot of times we don't even hear those thoughts. We just think them, like they just come to us and we don't really hear them. We don't really pay attention to them. We don't stop and even think about them. We're just like the judgment comes in, we get the negative feelings, we maybe feel like we are better than the other people because we're judging them for what they're doing. And then we continue moving on. But I've been noticing these thoughts every time I go into the gym. These negative thoughts are coming up. I'm hearing them. I'm hearing them in my head, and I'm thinking, I do not want to feel this way about other people. Like, I don't know these women. I don't want to think all of these shitty things about them. How do I get these thoughts to stop? Because I can use my logic brain and I can give myself all kinds of reasons for why it's okay for other people to dress how they want. I can tell myself, of course, people can wear whatever they want. It's so cool that these women feel confident enough to wear these clothes. It's so inspiring that they feel the comfort and confidence to dress however they want for their body. All those logical thoughts and things, I can add that in my mind. And I was trying that for the last couple months. As I hear my judgments, I've been countering it with these more positive thoughts about the other women that I'm automatically putting this judgment on. But it wasn't working. My judgments were still coming up when I saw these other people. And so when I was at the gym the other day, I was in class, someone walked in to class and she was wearing the very small clothing. And the judgments came up immediately. And the judgments are like running in my head. And all of a sudden, I kind of snap into awareness that I'm thinking these things. And I feel so frustrated with myself. I'm just annoyed that these thoughts are coming up again. I'm like, oh my gosh, when will I stop being such a jerk in my head? When will I stop thinking these annoying thoughts? Why does this affect me so much? The way that other people are dressing, why does this even affect me? Why am I even looking at it? Why am I even thinking about it? Why do I even care? And as I'm in that frustration saying, well, why does this impact me so much? Why does this make me upset? As I'm thinking those things, I hear in my head the fact that my judgment about these other women has nothing to do with these other women. It only has to do with me. And me thinking, oh my gosh, they cannot wear that. What is beneath all that judgment, what's beneath that belief is the fact that I can't wear that. It actually has nothing to do with them. And it has to do with me and my own beliefs about what is right for me, about my own limitations, about my own beliefs about what is acceptable for me. And with any judgment that comes up, there's this lesson to turn it back on yourself and ask yourself, what am I really saying about myself? Because when we put judgments on other people, what we're doing is looking at them through the perception of our own beliefs, our own ideas of what's right, what's wrong, and we're putting on them the rules that we have created for ourselves. We're putting on them the limitations that we have created for ourselves. All we're doing is projecting our own reality onto other people. And so when we have these judgments like, oh my gosh, she should not wear short shorts, we're saying, oh my gosh, I should not wear short shorts. I know this example feels so shallow and so frivolous, but this is the real life example of these judgments coming up. And this technique, this skill, this idea of turning your judgments around on yourself is actually something that I have learned through multiple sources in my spiritual journey, in my journey of self-development. It's something I've read multiple times, and I can tell you at least a couple sources that I've read it from. The first time I really learned about this concept was through the work of Byron Katie. And Byron Katie, I think it's mostly lectures of hers that I have listened to and a podcast. And her technique of helping people through these beliefs is based on a radical acceptance of reality and also turning these beliefs back onto ourselves, just like I was saying. So if I'm believing other people shouldn't dress this way, what I'm really saying is I shouldn't dress that way. And then I can go and explore why I feel that way. What is beneath that belief? And I can recognize that that belief is for me. It's not for everyone else. It's not something I'm supposed to put on everyone else. Another place that I've learned this is from a book that I've read recently. And to be honest, I didn't finish the whole book. I got probably halfway through, but it's called The Dark Side of the Light Worker. And I can't remember the author's name right now, but it's probably at least 20 years old, maybe a little more. And it talks about accepting your shadow side, accepting the negative things about yourself. And part of the work in that book, it talks about taking your judgments of other people and turning them onto yourself. So when I think she's inappropriate, then I can turn that around and say, well, I'm inappropriate. How am I inappropriate? How is this actually me projecting a thought that I have about myself? And the work of Byron Katie, the book, they explain it better than I feel like I'm explaining than I feel like I'm explaining right now. So if you want to go deeper into this, I really recommend checking out those resources and turning these beliefs back on yourself. It's uncomfortable, but it was also really eye-opening for me. And this is the internal work that is helping me to actually overcome those judgments. It's helping me to address the discomfort within me and the limitations that I've put on myself based on beliefs about how I believe I should exist in the world. And addressing that will help me to shift the perspective that I have on the world around me. I'm not saying I have to change how I believe I should dress, but recognizing that those beliefs are coming from within me and they're part of me is helping me to see that when I put those judgments on other people, all I'm doing is projecting this perspective I have of how I have to behave, how I should be, how people need to act in the world. And my belief of how people need to act in the world is always going to be based on my belief of what's acceptable for me. Having that perspective is really helping me to shift those judgments that keep coming up. And so this is just one small area of my life where that judgment has come on super strong. And now that I have that awareness to turn it back on myself, I can look back on my past. Where did I learn that I have to dress a specific way? Or why do I feel like I have to dress a specific way? Is it so that people will take me seriously? Is it so people will respect me? Is it so that I will be safe if I dress more conservatively? There are all these deep rooted beliefs that are backing up these worldviews we have that are so strong. And a lot of times it comes from a belief we picked up in childhood. It comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of limitation. And so if we are able to address those things within ourselves, we can drop the judgments we have of other people. Because as much as we think people should be doing things differently, what if everyone's doing exactly what they're supposed to? And what if instead those judgments are just a sign for us of where we could use some healing, of where we could use some reflection, of where we could go more deeply within and release the judgments that we have of ourselves, because the judgments we're placing on others are actually judgments of ourselves. Okay, friends, I hope that this episode has been helpful for you, especially if you're like me and you are a bit judgy and feeling frustrated with the fact that these judgments keep coming up, even though they feel so incongruent with who you are and how you want to move through the world. I hope that it gives you a way you can start healing that judgment you experience by turning it inward, even though it's uncomfortable, and asking yourself, where is this judgment coming from? Why do I feel this way about myself? And it's going to uncover some stuff. It uncovered some stuff for me for sure. And doing it in the moment was incredibly impactful. So I hope it's impactful for you. I love you. And I'll chat with you again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. I'm so grateful that I get to be part of your journey of spiritual expansion. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts. It's a quick, free, easy way for you to support this podcast, and it helps me reach more people who are looking for support on their spiritual journey. You can find a link to leave a review in the show notes. Thank you so much, and I'll chat with you soon.